Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasta Devarshina Tatra Varnita Bhagavat Kataha Mahyam Shushrushave Brahman Katsyena Chastum Arhasi. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is a record of Bhagavata Katha, topics about the pastimes of the Lord. What Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are eager. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. When Dhruva Maharaj departed for the forest, it said here that his son Utkala did not desire to accept the opulent throne of the father. He described his wonderful qualities, that from very birth, fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything rested in the Supreme Soul, Super Soul and Super Soul present in everyone's heart. The ultimate understanding of the existence is that it is everything in it. Everything in existence, whether it is a material energy or whether it is the marginal energy, the Jiva Shakti, or whether it is any of his personal expansions, Swamsha, like Narayana, everyone, is meant or is part and integral part of Krishna, who is the enjoyer of everything. The Param Satya, the absolute truth, is a person. A person means with all features of a personality, unlike an impersonal energy. A person means having an individuality, unique identity, having powers, having energies, having possessions. This is the idea of the person. And Krishna consciousness means the understanding that Krishna is that Supreme Person. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Rasabhabhatya. We always try to question why everything exists. Why do I exist? What is we may know immediate purposes. What is the ultimate purpose? Why we all exist? Why material energy exists? and why we exist in a particular way from birth to death. The answer to all that is we have to trace it back to Krishna. Anandamayo Bhyasat. One may see an immediate reason why something exists. For whose purpose it is. Just like the employees may work for the immediate answer. Why is a factory existing? It's existing for the owner of the factory. That is immediate answer. But what is the ultimate answer? What is the ultimate truth? The absolute truth. Absolute truth is Anandamaya Abhyasa. Everything is existing for the pleasure, for the purpose of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, everything has a connection with the Supreme Lord. Everything has a connection with the Supreme Person. That Supreme Person is the absolute truth. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. So from Maya consciousness to Krishna consciousness means Maya consciousness is what? Everything exists for me. I am this body, everything exists for me. For my senses, for my mind, for my social ego. And based on that, all the living entities are seeing the world as meant for my enjoyment. This is the default vision of everybody who is born in this material world. And naturally, he identifies himself with this body. And therefore, he thinks the purpose of life is my material life. Everybody thinks his life is centered around his body. Naturally, everybody is thinking like that. What is your life? Immediately they will think, my body, my bodily future, my bodily relationship. This is what we immediately think. That is one extreme. The other end, a pure devotee of the Lord, free from ignorance, sees the actual truth that we, as well as the material energy, are existing for the purpose of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everywhere his writ is followed. Everywhere is, even if somebody is in illusion, he thinks that my life is this bodily life. That is also part of the Lord's arrangement. Maya is also Krishna's creation. If you trace back, you will see a reason why the living entity is in illusion. A reason connected to Krishna. So if the purpose of existence is Krishna's integral enjoyment with all his energies, That is the purpose of existence. Then we see everything as fitting within that purpose. And how these things fit into that purpose of the Supreme Absolute Truth, we cannot speculate. That we learn from the scriptures. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. They explain, they reveal the truth, the highest truth. And not only they explain, they actually live in that absolute truth. As Prabhupada is saying, this is possible only when one is advanced in love of Godhead. So Krishna is not some, like in other religions, some God is there, we pray to Him. You have your life and God helps in your life. It is a very small aspect of Krishna, no doubt. As a super soul, as a supreme father of all living entities, He is providing, fulfilling the desires of all living entities. That is a very small aspect of the truth as it fits in the eyes of a pure devotee who sees that existence is meant for Krishna's pleasure. When we think of our pleasure, it's an isolated pleasure. We think of my pleasure. Krishna's pleasure is so pure that that pleasure will give pleasure to everyone. No isolated pleasure. This isolated pleasure for one individual. His material concept of pleasure or love or anything. That's why Krishna says, I am equal to all living entities. Why? Because everybody is equally, eternally related to Him. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. He is equal to everyone. So practicing to see how my consciousness is connected to the super soul in my heart. Everyone connected to his super soul. Even material intelligence cannot function without the presence of the super soul. That's in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals one of the most important revelation in the Bhagavad Gita. Not that Krishna is talking about he being in the spiritual world, etc. He is talking about, he is revealing that, look, I am there in your heart. I am there in everybody's heart. You are my part and parcel, you cannot separate yourself. That relationship cannot break, it can only be forgotten. I am eternal, you are eternal. And Krishna is a supreme loving person. Relationship means a relationship of love. That means there is no one who is more loving me as a spirit soul. There is no one more loving than Krishna. So, moment we say Krishna, is the sense of when you talk about somebody whom you are related, whom you are dear to, or who is dear to you, you immediately feel that relationship. Similarly, when we say Krishna, even though he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is very close to each one of us. That is his potency, that is his unlimited capacity as a person. We are conditioned, we are limited. We have 10 friends, then we can give time to one friend. That time we have to give we are limited persons. But Krishna is an unlimited person. When we hear that, then we have a feeling, then we have faith. Krishna is waiting for that. Yes, we are close. It's not some stranger is speaking to us in the Bhagavad Gita. Somebody is very, very close to speaking to us who has never ever, nobody else has ever been so close to us than Krishna. And our perception of Krishna also, as per Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, if you understand that everything exists for him, this material world is also his. Krishna says, I am there in my unmanifest form, this material energy. The understanding of Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead should necessarily include, as soon as we think of Krishna, Shakti, Man and Shaktis. They're inseparable. The contamination of Mayavadism is there is only one truth. One varietyless truth. We also, there is only one truth, we say. Truth has to be one. We say it's Krishna. Then you say we Krishna, Krishna with the Shaktis. Shakti, Shaktiman. In that Shaktis, we are also one Shakti. Varieties of Shaktis are there. That is his unlimited capacity for enjoying unlimited rasas. Every living entity is seated, means you can see what is his capacity. His potency for expansion, his potency to relate. Ye tamam prapadyante tam sthite bhajamyam. Entire existence is Krishna and his relationship with these Shaktis. We, living entities, we are separated from Him by our consciousness, forgetfulness, by our consciousness of delinking from Krishna. My truth as a standalone truth is without Krishna. We see I am this, I am that. That is false ego. I means, when you think of I means, you should think of Krishna. Krishna means all is part and parcels. I means Krishna. So any sense of I, other than the servant of Krishna, is immediately it is false ego. It is a false existence. Material world, everybody is living a false existence. He only is thinking, feeling, willing, identifying everything. It is the soul who is active. But the soul is active for a false identity. That I am independent of, I am an independent being. So unless one gets this principle of Anandamaya Abhyasa, then what is our goal? Our goal is to realign ourselves, surrender to the Supreme Lord, realign ourselves as His eternal servant. Essence of all self-realization is devotional service. Perfection of life is devotional service. That's why when you chant also, what is our prayer? Please engage me in your service. We cannot keep quiet. We have to serve somebody. We are serving false ego now. All my spirit faculties are serving false ego. It is meant to serve the Supreme Lord. A highly advanced Mahabhagavata devotee sees in the spirit. He sees the same super soul, Paramatma, existing within everyone's heart, regardless of discrimination based on different material forms of the living entities. See, unless one does his sadhana properly, his consciousness does not become free from this bodily concept of life. As long as we live in our bodily world, as long as we live in our social ego world of this world, we are not living our life. We have to understand that these are all temporarily identified by me as me. As soon as the spirit soul leaves the body, that means as soon as I leave the body, that itself should give us realization that I have nothing to do with these things. It's my temporary role play, my social ego, my body. It is not my body. I live as if it is my body. My social ego, I live as if that is my identity. The very fact at the time of death, it becomes zero, shows that I am something else beyond my social ego, beyond my body. I am something else. And that something else is we are part and parcel, spirit souls. Spirit. Any questions?
Hare Krishna. In spiritual world, we don't see this anarthas like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, manasa. When we read Prabhupada books, Prabhupada mentions that originally we are all enemies of God. That's the reason we are existing in the material world. Now, how to understand, the quality of enviousness we have in the first place with respect to God and the spiritual world is the reason we are existing here. So how to understand this enviousness that don't exist in the spiritual world existed with us in the first place, that's the reason we are existing in the material world.
So what's the question?
So how to understand this enviousness is not there in the spiritual world itself. How did it come to us in the spiritual world and we are here today?
See, it begins with when you say, when we are envious, it's not the way we feel envious in this material world. You are an absolute part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme Lord is absolute, and everything of Him is also absolute. So we have to understand there is an absoluteness to every part and parcel of Krishna. So, it is that sense of independence is a beginning. Sense of independence. An idea. Because Krishna can be seen to be supremely independent in the spiritual world. He is the center of everything. So that idea of being independent of Krishna, that is the starting point of that free will is there for the living entity. Because he is as absolute as Krishna. He is as absolute as Krishna. That is why we were called part and parcel of Krishna. This material body, material life is all created by somebody. But we were never created. The soul is never created. Someone asked why Krishna gave us free will, why He created. He never created. You are Krishna, Amsha Krishna. Krishna is Purna Krishna. We are Amsha Krishnas. So it's not the way we think. It's an idea of that contamination. That idea is an absolute thing, absolute free will we have. So that the moment we think we are out, the material energy captures us. Because you cannot exist in that thinking, in that atmosphere. So even in that atmosphere, there is no sense of independence. The moment that sense of independence comes, Maya captures us. So we can say there is no enviousness in the spiritual world, no sense of independence in the spiritual world. But the instant we think of an independent existence, that instant we are out. So that is why we are called marginal energy. We are eternally a marginal energy. That means that quality is there in the spirit soul. to choose to be with Krishna or choose to want to be like Krishna. Other than that, there is no other explanation. No other explanation. In the material world, when we see enviousness, when we say enviousness, there is a different kind of a it is a feeling which is directed towards that person. That is not the starting point in the spiritual world. Your own desire to be independent, that is the starting point of the living entities falling down into this material world. And of course, in a sense, you go deep into the subject, you say you never fall down. Because it is only in illusion. The absolute sense, you don't fall down. Even now, when we are in this material world, we are not fallen down. There are such revelations by Prabhupada. From one angle, if you see, yes, spirit cannot be touched by matter. Spirit cannot be touched. Spirit cannot be contaminated by matter. The substance of the spirit cannot be contaminated by matter. So that is explained, it's like a dream. What you constitutionally cannot do, you are allowed to do in a dream, which is this material world. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, when we think of our own pleasure, it's like isolated pleasure. So many times even in devotional service, I may be doing an activity. For example, I attend Mangala Arati. I take austerity, get up early, attend Mangala Arati because I like it. Because I like to attend it, I enjoy it. It may not be necessarily for the pleasure of Krishna. Right now I'm not at that stage. I attend it because I like it. I try to chant attentively because when I chant my rounds very nicely, I feel so nice, mind is relaxed, peaceful, disturbance is less. So I enjoy it, that's why I chant nicely. So that is my intention. I dance and kirtan because I enjoy it, because it's so nice and all. It may not be for the pleasure of Krishna. The moment I have bad mood or something is not right, I may not be able to, I may not participate in the kirtan. Immediately I'll go off because I'm not doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. I'm not liking it, so I go away. So many activities in devotional service also I do because I like it, I enjoy it. So is it sense gratification?
It is devotional service contaminated with sense gratification. Motivation is, if the motivation for your happiness or your pleasure is means material pleasure, is causing, because this whatever you are saying, it's all about the mind, correct? Mind, the feel good of the mind. If there is a feel good in the mind, then I will like to do. If there is some pain in the mind, I will not like to do. So it is our devotional service is based on our mind's pleasure and pain. So this is a starting point, because everything in our life, so far millions of lives we have done for our minds feel good. We have done that. But that minds feel good is also inspired by the soul who is identified with the material body, material world. So its standard of feel good is material. To feel good is always a soul's nature. Nothing wrong with it. A pure devotee also feels good in everything that he is doing. But his way of feeling good, his criterion of feeling good is not his mind. I want to feel good. I want to feel that I pleased Krishna. So his feel good standard has moved up. If I attend Mangalarti, I please Krishna, I please Guru. If I do this service, I please Krishna. Primarily that. Secondarily, his mind is happy or not happy, no, I will do it. Because he's shifted his criterion to his soul level.
That is a very high stage.
It is not very high, that is what we are practicing. We have to practice. What we are doing, when we are practicing devotion service, we have to understand the science of devotion service. We start with mixed devotion service. As we are doing our service, if you want to really advance, continuously we have to also increase the quality of our service. It cannot be based upon my mind. It has to be based on what is pleasing to Guru and Krishna. Repeatedly. This is a fight. Prabhupada says, declared war with Maya. So devotion service has a quality. But this devotion service in practice is so powerful that it will push out. One should not think that, it's all right. That is my anartha. I'll do things that are pleasing to my mind. This is my anartha. But little by little you should break that. And unconditionally serve the Lord. That we have to break. And what we do what service we do with some motivation. Mixed devotion service. Of course, you have some desire to serve the Lord. That's why you are serving the Lord, but you want to serve the Lord that very pleasing to your mind also. So your devotion service is restricted. Whereas a devotee who is at the soul level to please the Lord at every step is his only criterion. My enjoyment is enjoyment of Krishna. My pleasure is in pleasing Krishna. We are not against pleasure, we are not against enjoyment, we are not against seeking enjoyment. You seek to give enjoyment to Krishna. So that is the process. We are in one state where it is contaminated, and we move up to higher quality of devotion service.
Prabhu,
And there is definite progress is there, because this is based on illusion. You are serving somebody else's false ego, Maya, for all this.
of course, Prabhu, if someone is having an intention to please Guru and Krishna and performs any activity, of course, he will find a lot of pleasure also in that. There is no doubt about it. But right now, means if some activity is there and I may not have that love and attachment to Krishna to perform that activity or anything like that. So if I enjoy it, of course, this is a neophyte level. So should we continue doing or?
Should continue doing. Then you break your mind. You break your dependence on mind.
But should we aspire to enjoy like Rupa Goswami says, I wish I had millions of tongues and billions of ears, then I could relish and enjoy this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Means, that is very high. So if we seek pleasure in devotional service, if we also aspire to chant nicely so that I take pleasure, I get pleasure, is it right understanding? Or I attend Mangala Arati so that I enjoy it?
No, simultaneously you should understand that it is potentially most enjoyable. But my spiritual senses are not awakened. Therefore, I cannot experience that. So, therefore, you know, that is called Shraddha. You know this, I am doing my japa. This is the most tasty thing I know, right on my tongue. Infinite Satchidananda is on my tongue. But I don't have, just like if you have a polythene on your tongue, you cannot taste anything that you put on the tongue. So that consciousness should be there. That is called Shraddha. That all pleasure, all knowledge, everyone is me, I am doing my japa, but at least you get a great relief that I am serving. I am serving the holy name. I may not taste the holy name, but I am serving the holy name. Because this is the way in which I have been asked to do service to this holy name, whom I cannot access in a sensual manner. As an experiential manner, I am unable to access Krishna. You stand before the deity. I know here the same Goloka Krishna is here. But the reality is that I cannot imagine. I need to have that senses, Spirit Satchidananda eyes to see that. But at the same time, yes, that very same person is receiving my service. So you have a joy in that. So this is called, we have to, in separation from transcendental pleasure, you can do service. And then you get the strength to forego, or you get the strength to detach from the mind's liking. And the very same mind can be trained to like and dislike, can change the likes and dislikes of the mind. It is the mind that is having likes and dislikes. So those likes and dislikes can be changed to likes and dislikes of the soul. The scripture says what is actually the soul likes and dislikes. Soul likes devotion service. Soul likes love of Krishna. Soul likes to pure knowledge. Soul likes pure knowledge. So that is to understand that and then do. This is the beginning. Second is to understand and experience it also. That is, something is better than nothing. You start with something. That is why it is called initially you need faith, you need Shraddha. So there is a rasa in Shraddha. You get that pleasure of Shraddha. Hope for pleasure is also a pleasure, is it not? So hope that the infinite Satchidananda is on my tongue, that is a fact. You have faith. And you have hope that is what I am aiming for. Yes, as Rupa Goswami said, I am aiming for that. I am serving that adorable Nama Prabhu. I am serving that adorable deity. Deity is a manifestation of the Lord's inconceivable mercy to the conditioned souls. So like that, there are devotees start experiencing relationship with the Lord in separation. Not that you only have to see. Okay, it is said that dearest, one who is most dear to us and one who loves us most is Krishna. But you don't experience it. But that idea starts triggering you. It's such a, oh, is it true? Really? Is there a person? Okay, I am contaminated. But I am not able to recognize this Krishna who is so dear to me. Does that itself not give pleasure? The pleasure begins there. रंगराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।